Năm 1976, một cột mốc quan trọng đánh dấu bước chuyển mình mới cho giáo dục Việt Nam, một trường đại học khối ngành kinh tế quản lý đầu tiên ra đời. Trực thuộc Bộ Đại học và Trung học chuyên nghiệp, trở thành một trong các trường đại học hàng đầu cả nước trong đào tạo và nghiên cứu về khoa học kinh tế và quản trị kinh doanh. Đó chính là Trường Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, UEH. Trong điều kiện đất nước sau chiến tranh, UEH khởi đầu với rất nhiều khó khăn và thách thức. Tập thể UEH đã đoàn kết, nỗ lực, không ngại thử thách, nhanh chóng đưa hoạt động của trường dần đi vào ổn định. Bên cạnh đổi mới nội dung và phương thức đào tạo, nhà trường đã chủ động hội nhập quốc tế, gửi giảng viên đi thực tập, nghiên cứu sinh và ký kết hợp tác với các trường đại học có uy tín trên thế giới, được Thủ tướng Chính phủ tín nhiệm trao quyền tự chủ đại học cho mọi hoạt động. Bằng sự nỗ lực không ngừng, UEH đã có được những thành tích đáng tự hào. Top 1000 trường đại học kinh doanh tốt nhất thế giới theo bảng xếp hạng Eduniversal, top 551 trường đại học tốt nhất châu Á và là trường đại học khối ngành kinh tế đầu tiên và duy nhất Việt Nam vào bảng xếp hạng QS châu Á 2021, top 25 trường đại học hàng đầu thế giới lĩnh vực chuyển giao tri thức, tiêu chuẩn đóng góp cho sự phát triển nghề nghiệp suốt đời theo Multirun, top 5 trường đại học công bố quốc tế uy tín nhiều nhất Việt Nam, top 1 trường đại học Việt Nam lĩnh vực kinh tế kinh doanh. Năm 2021, UEH vinh dự được Chủ tịch nước trao tặng huân chương độc lập hạng nhất nhân kỷ niệm 45 năm thành lập trường, bổ sung vào bảng vàng thành tích của trường trong 45 năm qua.
Chúng tôi đóng góp cho sự lan tỏa tri thức, văn minh và các giá trị giáo dục toàn diện đến xã hội thông qua các hoạt động đào tạo, nghiên cứu và phục vụ cộng đồng.
Phát triển đa ngành, đa lĩnh vực về kinh tế, luật, quản lý, kinh doanh, tài chính ngân hàng, ngoại ngữ, công nghệ, thiết kế, quy hoạch và phát triển giao thông, môi trường, xã hội và đô thị, hướng tới phát triển bền vững. Đồng thời đẩy mạnh đào tạo, nghiên cứu quốc tế và phát triển mở rộng ở địa phương thông qua việc phát triển UEH phân hiệu Vĩnh Long. Trên cơ sở các khoa viện cùng vùng đất, tạo lập vị thế cho 3 trường thành viên được thành lập thuộc UEH: trường kinh doanh, trường kinh tế luật và quản lý nhà nước, trường công nghệ và thiết kế. Tiên phong đổi mới sáng tạo, bắt kịp với những thay đổi của thời đại trong đào tạo nghiên cứu khoa học và quản trị đại học. Bằng truyền thống đáng tự hào và những bước đi tiên phong về ứng dụng công nghệ thông minh, cơ sở hạ tầng xanh, thành phố thông minh trong đào tạo và quản lý nhà trường, hướng tới phát triển bền vững, dẫn đầu trong việc cung cấp nguồn nhân lực trình độ đại học và sau đại học chất lượng cao, đáp ứng thị trường lao động trong nước và quốc tế, tăng cường quốc tế hóa và hội nhập cộng đồng đại học trên thế giới, chuyển giao tri thức cho các hoạt động phát triển trong nước, khu vực toàn cầu và tư duy toàn cầu, hành động địa phương tạo nên một cộng đồng bền vững. Bằng sức mạnh của đội ngũ, khởi nguồn từ truyền thống văn hóa và các giá trị tinh thần cốt lõi của UEH và thừa hưởng những công lao đóng góp của thế hệ tiền bối, đương đầu với những thách thức trong đào tạo, nghiên cứu, hội nhập quốc tế, UEH vươn lên với bản lĩnh dám thay đổi và định hình tương lai bằng sự đổi mới trong chính tầm nhìn và sứ mạng. Lấy thị trường đào tạo, người học làm trung tâm cho việc xây dựng chiến lược và thực thi chiến lược phát triển UEH. Chúng tôi cùng nhau xây dựng và góp sức vì một đại học UEH chuẩn mực về hội nhập, đáp ứng nhu cầu xã hội về đào tạo nghiên cứu, vì tương lai đại học đa ngành bền vững có danh tiếng học thuật trong khu vực châu Á và thế giới. UEH hướng đến đại học bền vững, kết nối những con người trí tuệ và có tư duy sáng tạo trên toàn cầu, cùng phát triển các tri thức mới của nhân loại và chuyển giao cho các thế hệ sau bằng việc giải quyết các vấn đề của xã hội, hướng đến tương lai bền vững bằng một sứ mạng kết nối cộng đồng và lan tỏa tri thức. Đại học UEH, đa ngành và bền vững.
Sự phát triển của cách mạng công nghiệp 4.0 và xu hướng toàn cầu hóa tác động rất lớn đến đào tạo, nghiên cứu, tư vấn trong lĩnh vực kinh doanh hàng hóa, dịch vụ. Toàn cầu hóa làm cho các điều kiện về kinh tế, xã hội, công nghệ, hành vi kinh doanh thay đổi nhanh chóng. Sự kết hợp giữa các lĩnh vực thương mại, ngân hàng, tài chính, du lịch, kế toán, quản trị trong một môi trường là tất yếu để đạt hiệu quả trong đào tạo, nghiên cứu và tư vấn kinh doanh nhằm đáp ứng nhu cầu nguồn nhân lực chất lượng cao trong nước và hội nhập. Cùng với chiến lược tái cấu trúc Trường Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh trở thành đại học đa ngành, đa lĩnh vực về kinh tế, kinh doanh, quản lý, luật, thiết kế và công nghệ, phù hợp bối cảnh quốc tế hóa trong giai đoạn 2021-2025, thừa hưởng thành quả top 1.000 trường đào tạo kinh doanh tốt nhất thế giới và top 3 trường đào tạo thạc sĩ quản trị kinh doanh tốt nhất Việt Nam do tổ chức quốc tế Eduniversal tổ chức xếp hạng các trường kinh doanh uy tín trên thế giới công nhận. Trường kinh doanh UEH. Trường kinh doanh ra đời với sứ mạng đào tạo nhân lực chất lượng cao, đẩy mạnh quan hệ quốc tế, nghiên cứu và chuyển giao tri thức mới trong lĩnh vực quản lý, kinh doanh đến cộng đồng doanh nghiệp, học giả, nhà quản lý trong khu vực và trên thế giới. 13 ngành đào tạo bậc đại học: quản trị kinh doanh quốc tế, marketing, kinh doanh thương mại, tài chính ngân hàng, tài chính quốc tế, bảo hiểm, kế toán, kiểm toán, quản trị dịch vụ du lịch và lữ hành, quản trị khách sạn, logistics và quản lý chuỗi cung ứng, quản lý bệnh viện. 4 ngành đào tạo bậc thạc sĩ và tiến sĩ: quản trị kinh doanh thương mại, tài chính ngân hàng, kế toán. Trường kinh doanh bao gồm hội đồng khoa học và đào tạo, khoa kinh doanh quốc tế, marketing, khoa quản trị, khoa tài chính, khoa ngân hàng, khoa kế toán, viện du lịch, một trung tâm đào tạo ngắn hạn, các viện nghiên cứu và đào tạo, văn phòng trường với đội ngũ gần 250 thầy cô, trong đó có 4 giáo sư, 28 phó giáo sư, 84 tiến sĩ. Quy mô đào tạo hơn 20.000 sinh viên đại học, học viên cao học, nghiên cứu sinh, cùng đội ngũ hơn 100 đối tác quốc tế, 500 công ty, doanh nghiệp, hiệp hội và gần 100.000 cựu sinh viên. Trường kinh doanh Đại học UEH lan tỏa giá trị giáo dục, tri thức và hành trình học tập suốt đời đến cộng đồng. Kinh tế, luật và quản lý nhà nước là các thành tố quan trọng của một cấu trúc xã hội. Kết nối 3 thành tố này thành một khối thống nhất cho phép nghiên cứu nhiều khía cạnh quan trọng tồn tại trong hệ thống kinh tế xã hội. Sự phát triển của cách mạng công nghiệp 4.0 và khuynh hướng toàn cầu hóa đòi hỏi trường đại học phải trang bị cho người học kiến thức đa ngành trong lĩnh vực kinh tế, luật và quản lý nhà nước để có khả năng thích ứng với những thách thức đa chiều của kinh tế và luật pháp. Trường Kinh tế, Luật và Quản lý Nhà nước UEH, College of Economics, Law and Government. Trường Kinh tế, Luật và Quản lý Nhà nước UEH ra đời với sứ mạng đào tạo nhân lực chất lượng cao, đẩy mạnh quan hệ quốc tế, nghiên cứu, tư vấn và chuyển giao tri thức mới trong lĩnh vực kinh tế và hành vi, tài chính công, quản lý nhà nước, pháp luật, môi trường cho các nhà hoạch định chính sách, quản lý, giới học giả và cộng đồng doanh nghiệp trong khu vực và trên thế giới. Trường Kinh tế, Luật và Quản lý Nhà nước UEH là sự kết hợp các khoa, viện có chương trình đào tạo liên quan đến quản lý vĩ mô và khoa học xã hội. Trường chú trọng phát triển các chương trình đào tạo đại học, sau đại học, thạc sĩ và tiến sĩ theo chuẩn quốc tế do UEH và hoặc trường đại học đối tác quốc tế cấp bằng. Các chương trình đào tạo được có tính mở, tính liên thông cao với các trường thành viên trong UEH và với các trường đại học đối tác quốc tế. Quy mô đào tạo lên đến 4.736 sinh viên đại học, học viên cao học, nghiên cứu sinh, 12 ngành đào tạo bậc đại học, kinh tế đầu tư, kinh tế chính trị, bất động sản, tài chính công, quản lý thuế, quản trị hải quan và ngoại thương, quản trị nhân lực, quản lý công, kinh doanh nông nghiệp, luật kinh tế, 8 ngành đào tạo bậc thạc sĩ, kinh tế phát triển, quản lý kinh tế chính trị, tài chính công, quản lý công, chính sách công, luật hiến pháp và luật hành chính, luật kinh tế, 4 ngành đào tạo bậc tiến sĩ, kinh tế phát triển, kinh tế chính trị, tài chính công, luật kinh tế. Trường Kinh tế, Luật và Quản lý Nhà nước UEH hoạt động với cơ cấu bao gồm Hội đồng Khoa học và Đào tạo, khoa Kinh tế, khoa Luật, khoa Quản lý Nhà nước, khoa Tài chính công, Viện Chính sách công, Viện Nghiên cứu Chính sách Nông nghiệp và Sức khỏe, Viện Tài chính Bền vững, Viện Kinh tế Môi trường Đông Nam Á, Viện Nghiên cứu Kinh tế Phát triển, Viện Nghiên cứu Phát triển Nguồn nhân lực, các viện nghiên cứu và đào tạo, trung tâm đào tạo ngắn hạn thuộc trường và phòng tổng hợp, cùng đội ngũ với 240 thầy cô gồm 1 giáo sư, 7 phó giáo sư, 36 tiến sĩ, 81 thạc sĩ và mạng lưới hơn 80 đối tác quốc tế, 200 công ty, doanh nghiệp, hiệp hội và hơn 50.000 cựu sinh viên. Trường Kinh tế, Luật và Quản lý Nhà nước UEH cùng các trường thành viên hướng đến Đại học UEH đa ngành và bền vững. Theo dự báo của Diễn đàn Kinh tế Thế giới, đến năm 2025, con người chỉ chiếm khoảng 48% lực lượng lao động, máy móc và các thuật toán chiếm đến 52%. Cuộc cách mạng công nghiệp 4.0 và các công nghệ đột phá như công nghệ giáo dục, EdTech, nông nghiệp công nghệ cao, Agritech, công nghệ tài chính, Fintech và những lĩnh vực mới như đô thị thông minh, Smart City, khoa học dữ liệu, Data Science, trực quan hóa dữ liệu, Data Visualization đã nhanh chóng làm thay đổi xu hướng kinh doanh, thương mại, tiêu dùng trên nhiều lĩnh vực. Trên nền tảng những thành quả trên chặng đường phát triển của nhà trường trong lĩnh vực kinh tế, luật, quản lý, Trường Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh thực hiện chiến lược tái cấu trúc trở thành đại học đa ngành với các lĩnh vực đón đầu về thiết kế, công nghệ tích hợp với thế mạnh sẵn có về kinh tế, quản lý, kinh doanh, luật để phù hợp nhu cầu thị trường và xu hướng hội nhập toàn cầu. Trường Công nghệ và Thiết kế UEH College of Technology and Design. Trường Công nghệ và Thiết kế UEH ra đời với sứ mạng đào tạo nhân lực chất lượng cao, đẩy mạnh quan hệ quốc tế, nghiên cứu tư vấn và chuyển giao tri thức mới trong lĩnh vực toán, thống kê, hệ thống thông tin kinh tế, công nghệ, máy tính, đổi mới sáng tạo, kiến trúc, quy hoạch, thiết kế đa phương tiện cho các nhà hoạch định chính sách, quản lý, giới học giả và cộng đồng doanh nghiệp trong khu vực và trên thế giới. Trường Công nghệ và Thiết kế UEH tập trung vào phát triển các chương trình đào tạo liên ngành, giao thoa giữa nhiều lĩnh vực nghiên cứu và ứng kết hợp toán, công nghệ, quản trị thông minh và sáng tạo vào chương trình đào tạo nghiên cứu. Quy mô đào tạo lên đến 2.090 sinh viên đại học, học viên cao học, nghiên cứu sinh, 8 ngành đào tạo bậc đại học: toán kinh tế, thống kê kinh tế, hệ thống thông tin quản lý, thương mại điện tử, kỹ thuật phần mềm, khoa học dữ liệu, kiến trúc đô thị chuyên ngành kiến trúc và thiết kế đô thị thông minh, quản trị công nghệ và đổi mới sáng tạo, và các ngành tiềm năng, công nghệ ứng dụng, thiết kế đa phương tiện. 5 ngành đào tạo bậc thạc sĩ: thống kê kinh tế, toán kinh tế, hệ thống thông tin quản lý đô thị thông minh và sáng tạo, toán ứng dụng. 1 ngành đào tạo bậc tiến sĩ: thống kê. Trường Công nghệ và Thiết kế UEH hoạt động với cơ cấu bao gồm Hội đồng Khoa học và Đào tạo, Phòng Tổng hợp, Viện Nghiên cứu và Đào tạo, các viện nghiên cứu, trung tâm đào tạo ngắn hạn thuộc trường, khoa toán, thống kê, khoa công nghệ thông tin kinh doanh, Viện Đô thị thông minh và quản lý, Viện đổi mới sáng tạo, Viện toán ứng dụng, Viện công nghệ ứng dụng. Cùng đội ngũ với 75 thầy, cô, gồm 2 giáo sư, 2 phó giáo sư, 32 tiến sĩ và mạng lưới hơn 20 đối tác quốc tế, 100 công ty, doanh nghiệp, hiệp hội và hơn 10.000 cựu sinh viên. Trường Công nghệ và Thiết kế UEH cùng các trường thành viên hướng đến Đại học UEH đa ngành và bền vững.
Chào mừng bạn đến với Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh UEH, đại học công lập trọng điểm quốc gia có uy tín trong khu vực thế giới. Hơn 45 năm hình thành và phát triển, UEH đã và đang đạt được những thành quả tích cực trong công tác quản trị đại học, đổi mới toàn diện cơ sở vật chất, hướng đến mô hình đại học xanh thông minh theo chuẩn quốc tế, tạo lập môi trường học tập sáng tạo và truyền cảm hứng. Mời các bạn cùng tham quan các cơ sở và tiện ích thông minh thân thiện của UEH. Trụ sở chính, cơ sở A 59C Nguyễn Đình Chiểu, cơ sở lâu đời gắn bó với nhiều thế hệ thầy cô và người học. Cơ sở B 279 Nguyễn Tri Phương, cơ sở thông minh đánh dấu bước ngoặt đổi mới cơ sở vật chất theo hướng chuẩn quốc tế của UEH. Cơ sở Nguyễn Văn Linh, cơ sở hiện đại bậc nhất UEH với quy mô rộng 11 ha, được mệnh danh là đại học xanh thông minh gần gũi với thiên nhiên. Cơ sở C 91 đường 3 tháng 2, cơ sở dành cho trung tâm Pháp Việt với diện mạo hiện đại, thoáng mát. Cơ sở D 196 Trần Quang Khải, một trong những cơ sở chính năng động của Viện Đào tạo Quốc tế ISB. Cơ sở E 54 Nguyễn Văn Thủ, cơ sở chuyên dùng giảng dạy tiếng Anh, đào tạo kỹ năng cần thiết cho thế hệ công dân toàn cầu. Cơ sở H 1A Hoàng Diệu, cơ sở yên tĩnh, gây ấn tượng với thư viện chuyên ngành hiện đại, trụ sở chính của chương trình New Zealand. Cơ sở Y 17 Phạm Ngọc Thạch, ngôi nhà chung của các ESBR, những cử nhân tài năng với chương trình học hoàn toàn bằng tiếng Anh. Cơ sở V 232/6 Võ Thị Sáu, khu phức hợp của Viện Đổi mới sáng tạo, Viện Đô thị thông minh và quản lý, UEH Baltic Hotel. UEH Phước Điệu Vĩnh Long, 1B Nguyễn Trung Trực, cơ sở đào tạo đại học trực thuộc UEH với chương trình giảng dạy mô hình quản trị như cơ sở thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Cơ sở đào tạo nghiên cứu tại Nha Trang, dự án cung cấp nguồn nhân lực chất lượng cao của UEH cho khu vực miền Trung Tây Nguyên. Ký túc xá 135 Trần Hưng Đạo phục vụ hơn 800 sinh viên nội trú, mang đến trải nghiệm sinh hoạt và học tập hiện đại thân thiện. Ký túc xá 43-45 Nguyễn Chí Thành, địa điểm thuận tiện cho việc di chuyển của sinh viên với khuôn viên rộng rãi tiện ích. Các cơ sở của UEH có bề dày lịch sử, hiện đại, thông minh, công nghệ, tiện ích, thân thiện, không gian xanh mát, và gần gũi thiên nhiên. Các khu vực, cơ sở được đầu tư đầy đủ trang thiết bị dạy, học và làm việc hiện đại, chuyên nghiệp, tiện ích. Không gian học tập sáng tạo. Khu tự học yên tĩnh. Trung tâm mô phỏng. Thư viện thông minh. Hội trường đa năng sức chứa lớn. Phòng hội thảo chuẩn quốc tế. Phòng họp chuyên nghiệp. Phòng khánh tiết trang trọng. Văn phòng làm việc hiện đại. Khu vực cà phê năng động. Khu food court tiện ích. Không gian English Zone thoáng mát. Quảng trường lung linh về đêm. Vườn ươm khởi nghiệp. Phòng lab hiện đại. Khách sạn tri thức UEH Baltic. Ký túc xá tiện nghi. Hướng đến tạo lập một môi trường đào tạo đạt chuẩn quốc tế cho giảng viên, sinh viên. Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh luôn nỗ lực không ngừng để nâng cao chất lượng giảng dạy và học tập, nghiên cứu, cải tiến cơ sở vật chất, đầu tư trang thiết bị hiện đại khang trang. Đánh dấu thành tựu và nỗ lực của tất cả tập thể UEH. Đây là minh chứng cho những bước đi đúng đắn, chiến lược đột phá trong tiến trình tự chủ đại học và phát triển của nhà trường. Hướng đến đại học đa ngành và bền vững, có danh tiếng học thuật trong khu vực châu Á.
Afternoon, everybody. So welcome to the special session, and also with the last section of the today, City 4.0 for Future Resilience. After the COVID, we are talking a lot about the resilience, and we also in the industry revolution. Then how the city have to behave, and how we also have to behave in the city. So welcome to all of you to our special session. So today, I would like to introduce to you all one of the favorite professor of the ISCM, Dr. Duk Su Sir. Dr. Sir is a professor of the urban design and planning field at the Handong Global University in South Korea. He is also an urbanist leading the various international urban projects and housing studies. He enjoys field research approach and working with global partners to lead the paradigm of the sustainable smart city in emerging world city. So I would like to welcome on the stage Dr. Duk Su Sir, and he will be the chair of the special section today. Welcome.
Okay, hello everyone. We can start last session of beautiful conference today. Okay, so I really appreciate to join in this very good and informative and also passionate presentation today. I'm pretty sure that you can expect, because we have 4 handsome Debjai professors and the expert and professional, So, and they are all from different countries. I was very surprised, very global combination. So one from France and America, one from Mexico and Singapore, and one from Korea, one from Vietnam, We have a very actually international background and experience. So expect, they have a different pronounce, different, some, of course, English, but you can also recognize some different accent, intonation, So there is a diversity of language and presentation today. We have a very interesting topics today, 4 topics from each professional. So I will introduce each of presenters' background, each by each. I am urban designer and urban planners, but actually, I have also a practitioner, also educator and the researcher. So I will also have some discussion, discussion together with the whole professional people. Today, our topic is resilience. Actually, City 4.0 for future resilience. What is the meaning 4.0? Students, do you know 4.0? Yes, first industrial revolution. So we have something advanced technology, revolution period. So there is a lot of some research and some more creative approach with the integration of different technology. So today we can start. There is a 4 presenter today. So first is hold on. First is very popular, and after his speech in the last sessions, a lot of girls take photo together or something. Superstar now, I think, in this conference. The name is Arnaud Grignard. He is a computer scientist specializing in the complex system modeling and information visualization, and he co-developed a novel approach to agent-based simulations that handles real-time visualization tasks applied both to data and simulation outputs. Since 2016, Mr. Grignard has been the research scientist in the City Science Group at MIT Media Lab, working on the multiple application of agent-based modeling theories using evidence-based or data-driven simulation. So we'll take a look, very good, interesting, his research and experiments. So welcome. Okay.
Thank you for this great introduction. So, hi everyone. Good to be here for a second talk. So, as Duxu mentioned, we will be 4 different speakers here, explaining different parts of anything related to, let's say, City 4.0. In my case, I will show you a tool that we are developing not only at the MIT, but also in other projects. Very briefly, so I am a researcher at the MIT Media Lab, and I am a Marie Curie Fellowship at the University of Lyon in France. And I will explain you the usage of reactive, maybe I will come here, let's see, reactive agent-based tangible simulation for decision making. So why we are developing this kind of tool? We all know more and more that humanity is experiencing its greatest social transformation, so there is a lot of problematic, okay? We can have some tools that will help us to understand this, but what is for sure is that those tools, they didn't evolve as quickly as the challenge. So there is some need, 3 main needs, that is an interdisciplinary approach. We need to cross the disciplinary, a common reflection on this crisis, and most importantly, a way to engage you guys, especially the young generation, the citizen, in the process in a collaborative and creative way. So how do we do that? I will skip this one. We are building a network of cities which is based at MIT, and we have different city science lab that you can see here in the blue point. You can see some of them in Vietnam, actually, where we are making a collaboration with Ho Chi Minh City and also with Hanoi. I won't show you all the examples here, but I will show you some application of what we are doing, where we are using this kind of tool, so what we call a tangible interface. So it's a 3D mock-up of a city that will be used for simulation, for communication, and for collaboration around the concept of complex system. I have to check something very quickly. Excuse me. I know there was something. Hop là. Would be better. So this is developed at the MIT Media Lab. I will go very quickly on this lab. It's a lab which is part of MIT. And there are different groups here. And the group I am working is called City Science. So we develop many approaches related to city science. And the tool that I am now showing is what we call Cityscope. It's used in different projects. And basically, the idea is to have a physical interface where the user can play with the city and see in real time what will be the impact. So I take a very concrete example. That's a project that we are doing with MIT on this campus. So I will restart, from this red area that we want to redesign, the process is always a bit the same. We will build a physical representation of this city, in this case in Lego, and we will give the possibility to the user to interact. On top of it, we will project some data coming from GIS information, and also some simulation that will be updated in real time. So this is basically how it looks. This is me and my colleague Luis Alonso, also a researcher in the lab. So basically you are able to change in real time the configuration of your city and see on many different aspects how it will answer. So this is let's say the prototype that we are building in US. You can see all those dots. They represent a simulation that is updated in real time, and this is basically how it works. Very quickly, R means residential, O means office, and we have large, medium, and small. So you have 6 types of Lego that you can edit, and here with the toggle you can play with the level of the store. So basically here, one piece of Lego will represent 1 floor of a building. And then I won't go too much in detail, but depending on the structure of your city, you will be able to extract some indicator about diversity, density, proximity, and of course the goal is to maximize this radar plot. So the way it's working, so we are dealing with GIS model, Geographical Information System, where we are able to know the road network and the building. So we are building a kind of digital twin. And then from that, we put on top of it what we call agent. So this red dot is one guy, one people, living here, working there, then grabbing some food. So he has a daily pattern, so that's one of them. And after, according to some data survey or some analysis of telecom data, we are able to extract the people profile, and we are basically able to recreate a virtual world, a digital twin, an animated version of the city that can answer in real time to the change that you made. In this particular project, we wanted to focus on the interaction between people. So here the link you see is that we want to maximize the interaction between people in order to have an innovative city. So that was a brief introduction about the concept of Cityscope. So this one is representing MIT, but then the goal is to replicate that for different cities. So this is an example of different applications, and I will go a bit more in detail in all of them. So we will go back to this map. So that's the collaboration we have with the City Science Lab, and we also have some academic collaboration. Keep in mind that this is an academic research. Most of the tools are open source, so the goal is to really collaborate together with as many cities as possible. So in Andorra, for instance, that's one of the first projects I was working on. We were in link with Andorra Telecom. So here the goal was to extract the behavior of the tourist. So here what you see, the red dot, the orange dot is the Spanish, the blue one is the French, and the other one is other nationalities. Andorra is in between France and Spain. So here the goal was to understand behavior of tourists with data analysis. Once you have this simulation, I show you here a bit the backstage of how do you build this kind of tool. So here we are using Lego. We used to call it a Lego party, where everyone will design a part of the city, and that will be used as a 3D model. In this case, this model was also exposed at the Smart City Expo in Barcelona for the Andorra pavilion. So as I mentioned at the beginning, that can be used, for instance, for communication purpose, in order to explain, in this case, the behavior of the tourist in Andorra. And then every city science lab, they have a kind of sister version of the tangible interface that is developed both at MIT and in the City Science Lab. So this one is the one in Andorra. We are still collaborating with Hamburg. This project was made in 2017, I think, when Germany was facing a big crisis in refugees. So we were working with the mayor of Hamburg in order to use this tool to help to engage the population about where and how to place the refugees all around the cities. So we were using this kind of approach where you were able to select a part of the city on this table on the left, and then it will zoom here, and here you have an interactive table where you were able to place different possibility of refugee camp, and this was used as a tool for public engagement. There was many different workshops, and the idea was then to take the average of the solution in order to implement it. So as a kind of alternative for public decision making, especially for this kind of complex question. This one I will go a bit quickly because there is no tangible interface related to that, but it's just to show you a bit what we can do with simulation. Here is a project we did in Boston to understand the impact of the autonomous vehicle. Sebastian was speaking about the R2, I think, automation plus automation and sharing, yeah. So here, for instance, the goal is like, okay, what if in my city I change a bit how it is now and I introduce autonomous and sharing vehicle? So the methodology is always a bit the same. You start to rebuild the city as it is now. So you have your simulation about what we call the present, the reference system. And then you are able to play with some parameters. So typically here, this is the current distribution in Boston, where you have a percentage of public transit, private car, and traditional taxi. So this is the initial state, and then you want to compare some scenario. So in this case, what if, we use a lot the concept of what if scenario. What if I introduce autonomous car, autonomous taxi, and autonomous bus? So here you perturbate, you change your simulation, and you are able to explore one specific scenario. I won't go too much in detail, but the idea is that we were exploring two scenarios. Boston as it is today, this scenario and this very extreme scenario, if everything is using autonomous car, and the idea is that you can compare the number of vehicle used, the vehicle distance travel, according to how Boston is today. Another project we did in China, in Hangzhou, was for a real estate company that wanted to have this tool to communicate around the project, where here is a bit the same concept. You recognize the radar plot, the 3D representation of the city, and the interactive Lego table. So that was made in collaboration with people in Hangzhou. It was a big project. And this is basically how it works, how it looks like. So here we use a lot the heat map in order to show here the access to park. So in a red area, it means there is very few park where you are, so you can kind of optimize the different configuration. And here we also have some tool to edit like more global parameter. Let's see what we did in Vietnam. So in Vietnam, I'm still working with the IRD. It's a French Institute for Sustainable Development. We have been kind of tweaking this approach, not to use it for city, but for river management. In Hanoi, on the Red River Delta. So this is Hanoi, and then the river is going through Haiphong, and there is a water management system called Bac Hung Hai irrigation system is the name of the three provinces, and there is many problems in this area, facing flooding, pollution, like many problems related to water management. So the goal is always a bit the same, going on the ground, discussing with people, and building a simulation, and also a prediction tool. So this was a collaboration between France, US, and Vietnam. So here maybe you recognize the Media Lab. So we built a tool here, and then we traveled to Asia. So here the dot that you see, they are not representing people now, they are representing microplastic. So here the goal was to show the impact of the industrialization on the pollution of the river. And then we made a workshop in the Tuy Loy University in Hanoi, where there was many installations related to water management. And so one of them was this tool, and the goal was also to train the students so that they can reuse the tool, because I already mentioned that all those approaches are open source. One of the last example I want to show you, this one is a bit more extreme. It was displayed in a museum in New York, where we were building two parallel worlds, one, let's say, dystopic world and one utopic world. In this case, it's a what-if scenario where we all have like sharing vehicle versus on the left, everyone with his private car, lots of traffic congestion. So that's the simulation that was then displayed so in a museum, in an exhibition dealing with mobility. It will arrive. If it won't, we have to replay. Yeah. So it was an exhibition about everything related to mobility, and so Cityscope was one of them. So here we push the contrast a lot to have something like very abstract, a kind of city that doesn't really exist, but you see the same concept. You can use your Lego brick, edit the city, and with this slider you are able to see the difference between the two worlds. So that was something very extreme, like in a museum that needs to run like for 3 months in a row. So it took a lot of effort to develop that. I'm showing this slide a bit to show you like the process of making this kind of table. It looks very shiny once it's finished, but there is a lot of process, and we were discussing this in the previous session about the interdisciplinary of this approach. You need designer, you need architect, you need maker, you need a bit of computer scientist, urbanism, like it's a very interdisciplinary tool. So I think I am almost done. I think I have a last. I'm from France, but I am not from Paris, but still I am I'm speaking about this project. That's something we did just before COVID. It's one of the last tables actually I did before COVID. A project we did in the Champs-Élysées in Paris, where here also the goal was to compare Champs-Élysées as it is today versus one vision from an architectural firm. So we were comparing also 2020 with 2030, and we were focusing on the usage, the impact of the nature, the impact of the culture on the table that was exposed at the Pavillon de l'Arsenal, which is a museum about architecture in Paris. So here you can see how it works. A time lapse here where people were able to play with it, and you recognize the different indicator on the wall. I think I am almost done. I am from Lyon, so I have to speak about Lyon. Something also similar that was more focusing on the air quality. So here we were linking the simulation model with the emission. So depending on the car, depending on the bike, depending on the kind of gas you use, it would have an impact on the air quality. So here the goal was really to monitor and to be able to identify the place where you could have like lots of pollution. So basically, yeah, how do our activity impact on the air quality? So always a bit the same concept. This was a workshop made with students that were able to use our tool and to apply it to their specific problem and to their specific cities. The maquette was already built, so it was a gift from the city. You can see that it's not made in Lego, so the maquette was already built and we were projecting on top of it. So basically the mobility pattern and the energy consumption was simulated in order to monitor the air quality, always using the same approach, the agent-based modeling, using a platform, an open source platform called Gamma platform, which is co-developed between France and Vietnam. And I think I will finish here with this slide showing basically the different tools that are used in this project, where most of them are open source. So you are welcome to use them, to contribute. And you can also contact me on this email, and I think I should be done.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I have many questions. Like, it's a really attractive presentation. So we can have a discussion later. Okay. So I think you guys have some like questions. So may note down your questions. So you will have opportunity to have a question. So it's really nice. It was like you have a presentation 12 minutes, but I feel like 2 minutes. Wow. So, okay, great visualization and the presentation. Okay, so next, okay, let me introduce the next topic. The topic is applying deep learning to support informal settlement detection. So the panelist is Mr. Vu Ji Kien. He is from Vietnam. So let me introduce briefly about his career. Kien Si Vu is Vice Chairman of Vinh Tan District People's Committee and the former Director of Ho Chi Minh City Architecture Research Center. His area of focus is disruptive initiatives in urban planning and management. During his career, Kien has achieved many awards for his works. In 2020, Kien received National Outstanding Young Public Servants Award from the National Central Committee of the Communist Youth Union. In the same years, he also named as one of 12 typical young citizens of Ho Chi Minh City by City's People's Committee. Heroes in Vietnam, okay? Okay, thank you very much and welcome. Yeah. Okay, it's fine. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Search, for introduction. Thank you, Mr. Wan, to have me here. Okay, the presentation that I would like to show you today is a case study of Bantam district on the prevention of informal settlements encroachment. And when we talk about the urban resilience, we mostly talk about the urban planning, urban design, and projects to improve the resilience of the city. But from the perspective of local authority, I see another thing is that how to make the city be not less resilient. And today I would like to talk about a threat of informal settlement to urban resilience. During the last 3 decades after the economic reform of the countries, the urban population of Vietnam has been nearly triple from about 13.5 million people to more than 30 million, and especially in the big city like Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi, the population has been rocketed. Especially in Ho Chi Minh City, in 1989, there's only about 4 million people in Ho Chi Minh City, but now we have more than 9 million. That is the officials calculation, but I think that's the real population may be more than 9 million, and the Ho Chi Minh City has become a mega city already. And with that, the rapid growth of population, another phenomenon happened, that is the informal settlement encroachment in the fringe area of the city. In this slide, you can see the built-up area map of Ho Chi Minh City in 2010 and 2019, and the red color illustrates the built-up area, and you can see it's within less than 10 years. The built-up area of the city has been more dense and has been spread significantly. And not all of them are formal development. A lot of informal development have been developed, especially in the fringe area. And however, Vietnam is something a special case in handling with the informal settlement. According to the data of World Bank, the rate of urban population living in slum has been decreased dramatically from around 60.5% in 1990 to just more than 14% in 1916. However, the absolute number is of the slum dwellers only decreased 33%, and we still have more than
4.6 million people still living in slum. It's a huge number, and a lot of them still is living in Ho Chi Minh City. And in this slide, you can see it illustrates a phenomenon of informal settlement encroachment in the public infrastructure project, unimplemented public infrastructure projects. In the left image illustrates the zoning plan of an area in Thủ Đức City, and the green color illustrates a park. A public park has been planned to be built, but it has not been built yet for about 20 years. And if you look at the satellite image of the area in 2003, you can see that the areas are mostly agricultural land. But now most of them has been encroached by informal settlement, by illegal houses. And from my point of view, informal settlements is a great threat to resilience development, because they are highly vulnerable to social issues, to disease, weather change, and legal issues too. In 2021, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Bintan has been one of the districts that is impacted most by the COVID-19, and most of the infected cases happen in informal settlements because they have a very poor infrastructure. They are very poor protected from disease, and that's why a lot of people has been infected and has been died there. And if we allow these informal settlements keep spreading, it will be a threat, and we prevent the city become more resilient, and it may become less resilient. And this is the case, an informal settlement in Bintan. It has been from about 5 years ago. You can see most of them, all of them are illegal houses. And there's a very a great threat to people living here, is that their houses may be demolished at any time. This is a case. This is an illegal house that has been built around in 2018, and it has just been demolished 2 weeks ago. You know, with an immigrant people, with immigrant families, this house is there maybe on of what they have, but one day it may be demolished. It is tragedies for the household, but it is something that the government have to do to prevent more people come to the settlement and build more residence houses. And preventing informal settlements encroachment, I think, is an important part of the residence development, especially in developing countries. And but in developing countries, we have a lot of struggle with detecting and preventing the informal settlement encroachment. The first one is the lack of human resources, because the local authorities have very few staff and very few capability to deal with these issues. In each ward in Bintan district, we have to manage a vast area of 5 to 10 square kilometers with maybe more than 50,000 people, but we only have about 5 people to handle with these issues. And they also have to handle with other issues, not only the informal settlement. And they have very few support, very few skills and tools to deal with that. So, how technologies can help us to handle with informal settlement? An initiative in Bintan is applied in deep learning. It's a branch of AI. And we use this technology to have the local authority to detect the informal settlements much faster than the traditional way of going to the site, the field and check. Yeah. So by using deep learning, we train. We use a software to use the satellite image and train it to detect the build-up area automatically. And in this slide, you can see how from the satellite image we made the build-up area map. From this map, we can detect the building. And when we overlay it to other layers of data to identify, to detect the informal settlement, by using an application, it's called Binton Integrated Aerial Map that has been launched 2 months ago. We can overlay on many layers of information of data like satellites, image build-up areas, and zoning map, and to detect the potential informal settlement encroachment. Firstly, we check with the zoning map to see where the public infrastructure has been planned, and then we overlay it with the build-up area map to see is there any buildings in those zones, and then we double check it with satellite image, like in this area. We detect the potential illegal housings, and then we check with the satellite maps at different points of time, from 2012, 16, 19, and 21. And you can see in 2012, there's only 3 or 4 houses there, and then there's more house has been built. And because this area public infrastructure projects, people cannot build any house there legally. So it means that all of the houses has been built here are illegal. Yes, but they existed there for 5 or 7 years ago, but nobody know about that until we use this process to detect these informal settlement. And about some days ago, when we check it, we identify more than 100 informal houses there. And I just think that if this application has been launched 5 years ago, these houses may not have been built, and then people who live in there may have not lost their money to build those houses to be demolished some days. And I think that this is preventing informal settlements is an important thing for Vietnam, for Ho Chi Minh City. That is something you have to prevent the city be less resilient before you can make it better. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much. It's also very interesting, some problem finding, and also how technology can help for the sustainable city management. Yeah, I realized that there is like very informal settlement, actually encroach many area, like try to settle down there. I think that's gonna be a big challenge for urban management, I guess. So yes, that is interesting. I have also some question, okay, later. Okay, let's move to the third professional and presenters. Let's listen Korean stories. Korean story. What happened in Korean story? There is also many smart city project there. Different country has different character of a smart city, different technology apply because each city has a different problem there, you know. So, okay, let me introduce Professor Quận from Seoul National University. Today, the topic is a smart city in Korea, South Korea. Professor Young-sang Kwon is educator, professor at Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. He is an expert in urban design field. At the moment, he is focusing on how to apply big data into urban design and planning to solve urban issues and problems. Furthermore, he is also a director of a graduate course on the smart city engineering in Seoul National University and a guest professor in Keio University as well. So, welcome. Yeah.
Thank you. Before two announcement about these two brilliant and very interesting presentation, similar not that I'm the practical urban planner and the designers. So I think that there is some differences with two former presenters about that. Before start my presentation, I will show that about 50 years ago, nowadays the Seoul and the South Korea is a very rich and prosperous cities. But about 70 years ago, Seoul has suffered from that civil war and very poor condition for that. This picture is showing that the center of the Seoul, because there was a big war, so there is a very ruined, and after that, we show that lots of new towns and the development of new cities for this country, and during this building new cities and developing the old cities district, Korea win the economic development, and nowadays this is another new challenges for the smart city or the digital transformation for the new next era. For example, is digital transformation or the city 401, I think. So I start with that from the first part of my presentation. Professor Kinnader has said that about last month there was a smart city conference in Barcelona, and there will be another examples for that many technologies and the examples and the social problems and the solutions for using that data-driven and many kind of the IT technologies. And the Korea has the session room for showing our achievement of the smart city or technologies for that. And the fourth picture is the Siheung smart city technologies, and the Siheung city is also our Seoul National University's second campus for built in that in Siheung city. So I am here, and I will showing that our achievement of the smart city in Siheung cities. Before presenting about that Siheung city's achievement, I will introduce about the Korea's achievement and conditions of the smart city development. And in Korea, there is two directions of the smart city. First one is new town development of that using the high-tech technologies. Second one is old cities redevelopment or regeneration using that IT technologies for that. this is a national smart city model, is a new town type of the smart city, and the Siheung and Daegu city is a urban regeneration type of the smart city technologies. And I will showing that this one of the new town type of smart city one. The first one is the second capital of Korea, and Professor Seo and me has involved that this new town project about 20 years ago. And about that one, the red color circles, there is a new smart city model district for these cities. And the second one is Busan, another the smart city new town model is Busan Eco Delta Smart City. And I will showing that the video clip for this the new town smart city type of the Busan Eco Delta one. About 3 minutes for that.
The smart building type water purification system does away with home-based purification appliances. Daily strolls can now create energy. The improved management system will reduce energy-related stress. A step beyond real-time road communication, easy with self-driving too. Customized city info system that is also safe. Okay. Imagined it? A city where smart imagination becomes reality, together with experiences and advancement. This city will change how people live and interact forever.
Yeah, this is maybe that one type of the smart city propelled by the Korean government is a new type of the smart city one. And second one is about the old downtowns problems solving using the IT technologies or data-driven cities for that one. And this is the whole framework of this kind of old downtowns redevelopment using that IT technology. The second and third one is each characteristics of that smart city model. And the first one is a whole framework and the data hub for solving these problems of the each cities. And the third one is especially focused on that environment and people's governance and energy saving models for that one. And Seoul National University has involved the third project for this one. And many of the companies and the national government or the public corporations is involved in project for that. And the third one is in Siheung series models for that. And I will showing that some of them this project one. The first is maybe there's some problems in Korea is the young children have suffered from that in their child care or in the kindergarten for that. Some of them, the teachers has abused the child and some of them problems for that one. So IT technology can solve this kind of problems for that. So this research team making like the smart child care house for that one. Using this one, all the data caring that the child and the young student and their mothers and their fathers and link together with the data and help the teachers to more study and more teach their children more safely for that one. Second one is maybe it's a very popular one of the metaverse or the digital twin model to making that the cities more easily using that their tourist point or point of interest, and it may be in the COVID-19 era there is a very big chance to that people's experience their many locations for that series one. Third one is making that, especially in the fine dust, is the main problems in Korea because that from China or Mongolia there is many fine dust is moving here, and each cities have many progress in that economical development, has many factories for that, and each factories has many fine dust emissions, and this tool has making that link with that GIS programs, and where is that the fine dust, and the finding that the point, and the solving that the problems for listening that fine dust problems for that. So, and the next, the Korean government has propelled that historically and conventionally education program should be changed. Before that, the architecture and urban development and the civil engineers should be changed to using that IT technology for that one. So after that, there is maybe, as I introduced by that director of that Smart City educational program in Seoul National University, and it is covered by that national government of that Korea. Okay, this is my first viewing of that picture, and I repeat that about 70 years ago, the Korea has suffered from that low infrastructure and many problems of that the low conditions for that. But nowadays, it's new progress, and that the smart city models for the next generations for that one. And Korea has a program prepare for that the next generations, maybe City 401, maybe data-driven cities, solving the problems of that many cities for that one. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, a lot of technology applied in Korean cities, and they have some test model in actually some Korean context. Yeah, that is interesting. Last ones, we have a final presenter from Singapore, but he's a Mexican professional and very handsome and very fashionable today. Yeah. Okay, Jose Rafael Martin, let me introduce. His topic is example of a smart service around the world. Emergency life in the smart city, technology, precarity, and dependency. He is the research fellow at the Lee Kuan Yew Center of Innovation Cities. His research focused on the mainland and in insular megacities in the Southeast Asia, and involved in the recycling of scarce place and reproduction of ephemeral and provisional space. At the institution, Rafael works on the future of Asian cities, a project focusing on a variety of urban issues in different Southeast Asia cities, including Ho Chi Minh City and Chen Tianqua programs on urban innovations. Welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, professors, and good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank you for your attendance in today's event, and I know that you might be tired at this point. I would like to also thank our chair, Dr. Seo, for his gracious welcoming note. And I would also like to thank our moderator, Anne, who has done really a great job here, or help us organizing everything, as well as my fellow panelists for your insightful sharing. Finally, I would like to express my gratitude to the Institute of Smart City and Management at UEH College of Technology and Design for organizing not only this session, but also this successful conference where researchers, educators, policymakers, and private sector partners have a chance to share and learn from each other. As professors mentioned, my name is Rafael, and today I will be presenting on behalf of my colleague Long, who is in Singapore. He couldn't make it this time, about our research on the phenomenon of the emergency life in the smart city and how it relates to the forces of technology, precarity, and dependency. As this picture indicates, and well, just a quick comment, I am an anthropologist, so I have bad news for those who are very, very happy with technology. So my role is to be, to have or to give a critical idea of technology, but not everything is bad. As this picture indicates, our focus will be on the effects of the tech-enabled gig economy on the city and especially on its urban poor. Our main argument for this presentation will be that the tech-enabled gig economy, as exemplified by companies such as Grab or Gojek, is perpetuating a form of permanent precarity among its workers as facilitated by its algorithmic surveillance systems. So it's bad, eh? This, we believe, can be considered one of the hidden fixtures of the fourth industrial revolution and the smart city. Okay, let me just go to the next. Before we dive into the main topic, before I dive in this main topic, let me establish some important definitions to contextualize this discussion. Firstly, the fourth industrial revolution can be framed as the technological trend characterized by a fusion of technologies that is blurring the lines between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. Secondly, globally and specifically in Southeast Asia, there is a rise of unicorns, that is, massive tech-based conglomerates such as Grab or Gojek, whose business models often rely on the labor of gig workers, which leads me to my last point. The gig economy can be understood as the type of market where exists the exchange of labor for money between individuals or companies via digital platforms that actively facilitate matching between providers and customers on a short-term and payment by task basis. These definitions foreground the environment we study, a city where gig work platforms or unicorns are extremely popular, where being gig workers for these platforms is widespread and considered the norm, especially among the urban poor. However, to begin to understand the emergency life or our concept here and permanent precarity within the smart city, we must first examine the tool and mechanism which make it possible the algorithmic surveillance regime in which workers operate. The algorithm, we contend, is the precursor, the enabler, and the facilitator for the permanent precarity we are interested in. So to understand how the algorithm employed by these platforms cultivate what we estimate is a condition of permanent precarity in urban poor working for the gig economy, we must consider two mechanisms through which it operates. Firstly, it serves as a surveillance and control system, a form of monitoring, assessment, and management that is performed by algorithms. This is the dominant mode of surveillance in the gig economy. The algorithm determines the responsibilities, income, and ranking of gig workers. Basically, what they can do, what they cannot do, and what they are doing or they are about to do. That is the role of the algorithm. But algorithms, at least from a social science perspective, constitute what Michel Foucault calls an artifact. So in Foucauldian terms, technologies, despite their advantages and possibilities, could become artifacts as they are only partially beneficial to users in daily life while transforming them into instruments themselves of technological platforms. In this sense, the gig workers become instruments of the algorithm, the tools through which they perform their work. Through this mechanism, we see that the gig workers are the tools themselves of the algorithm, and that it must, and actually they are mostly controlled by these technologies. Thus, it must cultivate the algorithms a sense of dependency among these workers. The algorithms indeed inculcates dependency by making it the sole provider of tasks and the determining factor in how much drivers or the gig workers could earn and the incentives they can expect. Facing the difficulties of economy, especially in the context like the recent pandemic, and workers, as I said, the urban poor, are usually very dependent not only on a job but also on a source of or any kind of income. Perhaps in normal circumstances you might wonder, well, Rafael, but this is actually normal, no? We are dependent of our jobs, no? To make money, to make a living. Yeah, but this is not exactly the same form of dependence we are talking about here. Dependence, the one I am talking about, is the one that originates from the very system supporting these companies, and most importantly, the data the system generates. Consequently, data becomes the most important source of wealth of these companies, but also, as I said, the crucial form of dependency. The problem, however, is that those working and making a living using these platforms are in different ways confined to a dependency cycle. And it is precisely where the emergency life or our argument starts. Within the context of this presentation, we define emergency life as a transitory period where a person is faced with extreme uncertainty in many aspects of life. This uncertainty is related to the idea of precarity when the traditional security in a person's life disappears or is rendered tenuous or ineffectual. They exist in fear of losing their security due to a lack of income, access to health care, or access to shelter. Thus, they are living an emergency life. The concept of emergency life, at least from our perspective, has always existed, but it is its relationship to the tech-enabled gig economy what it makes unique and worthy of consideration. Precarity exists always, but in the gig economy, because of tech-enabled of the technology in general, it appears as a lifesaver, actually. Giving workers just enough to catch a breath in tandem with an apparent economic independence. But the gig economy actually traps workers both materially and mentally in entrenching them in subsistence while conferring the illusion of agency and power. I think I will need to move a bit faster because it's already 15 minutes, right? Okay, so let me just move to the next part, which is heading to the end. Okay. I just want to conclude my presentation saying that the idea of how gig workers can exist in a permanent emergency is what it has been brought by the COVID-19 pandemic. For example, in Ho Chi Minh was, like many other cities, very much affected by the pandemic. The lockdown was tough, and many other situations were actually affecting the people there. But not only Ho Chi Minh, other cities like Singapore, life was very difficult. So the point of this emergency life is that the fact is that there is a risk in the smart city. Technologies in the smart cities could be powerful instruments, but they are also opaque. So they interact with societal dynamics in ways that we have yet to fully understand, and potentially understanding it only when it is too late. But it would be disingenuous to regard all the effects of the fourth industrial revolution as secretly harmful, because they indeed offer numerous benefits. What is important right now is to strike a balance between the work that these companies give and also the way these companies treat employees. In one way to do that, we contend is by sharing data. I will stop there, and hopefully we will have some time to continue this conversation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, this is time to have short discussion. We don't have enough time, so around 10 minutes. I will invite all panelists on the stage, and please take seat. So we have like around some 10-minute discussion. And if you have questions from the audience, you can have like raise your hand, and we can have also some quick discussion. So welcome, panelists, global panelists. Okay, so please come on the stage. So think about you guys, like something, you can ask a question, something stupid is okay, no problem. Hey, professor, what is a smart city? You are talking about smart city, how you can define the smart city. It's no problem, you are a student, right? Eager to learn something, come on, okay? Okay, have a seat. Yeah. So, if you feel like very handsome, you can sit on the center. Oh, come on. Oh, that's for me then. Oh, okay. Handsome man, go there. Okay, so today I got your very interesting lectures with some different perspective and different approach and the different some condition of each city context. So I have some question from your first methodology, like was very amazing. Something data-driven, simulation-based approach, and urban planner might be very happy because they can take a look some result. You know, when they have some variance or land use planning, there is already like something simulation showing the many actually result in advance. My question is that kind of methodology is very interesting and innovative, and many professionals maybe join in the integrated process. So you say like some urban planners and the data science and the IT professional, and also like some even math experts, something like this. So what kind of, in your MIT Media Lab, who actually involved in the process? And there's no challenge to collaborate together, no fighting each other or something? I'm very curious about the process, yeah.
I will be a bit picky here. The only challenge is between architects.
Oh, architect. Oh, architect is a problem. Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, they are the ones that like to argue about their design, but no, there is no such a challenge because it's very interdisciplinary. Also, lots of different nationalities. So I think everyone is like complementary. Also, it's a research lab, so one of the goals of the PI is to be sure that we have like different field of research, so there is not that many overlapping, and that's one of the beauty of the tool is that few overlapping. And something I didn't mention in my presentation, they speak about anti-disciplinarity. So we hear a lot about interdisciplinarity, but the anti-disciplinarity is typically me being an expert in computer science doing urbanism. So it means I will go to a discipline that I am not an expert, and vice versa, and that's how you can like invent like new way of building new tools.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of, I think you have like a lot of algorithm, to make the kind of simulation. So today, Raphael talked about some like algorithm surveillance. So like something who has powers to manipulate the cities, data holder, right? Or software engineers or programmer or something. Yep. So how do you think some like approach of urban kind of simulation models, maybe who designed simulation is like based on the programming, right?
Correct.
So how did you see this approach methodology?
Well, thank you. I think we always need to consider that planners, in a way, I mean, and this is not because of my colleague. It's a general idea that planners, in a way, conceive themselves as God. No, they decide, what to do, or how people should behave, or how cities in one way it should be run. No? But the reality is that there might be like I'm not going to say like difficult consequences or bad consequences, but there is always a possibility of influencing negatively in people. In the case of the presentation, the first presentation with my colleague, I don't think it's necessarily affecting directly the behavior of human beings. I think it makes easier, or it makes more efficient. Yeah. But the thing is that companies like the ones that I use in my analysis as an example, of course they will get an important benefit of this planning of the city because it's more efficient. Yeah. And because it's actually not only more efficient, it is enjoyable, and it helps to facilitate many processes. That's my perspective. But in fact, I don't think that the idea itself is actually affecting negatively people. It benefits, but there is a consequence of this planning potentially affecting in a negative way, but not directly. That's my point.
Yeah. Very interesting point. I don't want you guys fighting each other. Like we need a more critical and also like critical perspective. Today, actually, I want to compare Korea and Vietnam case. You guys showing some like smart city technology try to apply in the city context. Korea, Vietnam has a different context. Now you are struggling with some slum and informal settlement. So you show some like deep learning process. And Korea has like also many actual technologies, something like this. So I would have a question to the Professor Quận. What kind of technology might be appropriate in Vietnam situation, actually in kind of your slum and city management? Like we need some advice, some technology. If Korea has many things, many package of technology, so I think can you suggest any technology in Vietnam situation?
Okay. I think it's some route to advise to other countries with in my country's technologies to introduce to other countries, because that I have the experience to introduce our nation's technology to other countries. But as Professor So has said that each country has a different situation and different problems. So in many cases, it's very difficult to adapt to our Korean technologies to adapt to other countries. But what to find out that is what is the same point of that each two the cities. I think that in Vietnam and Korea has the similar point is that the density. Each two countries, the Seoul and the Vietnam and the Ho Chi Minh City is a high density cities for that. So I think that this is the matching point of that adapting that the situation. But and my some kind of that advice for that is one to solve how to solve that the density problems with that data technologies for that one. For example, we focused on that transportation. I know that the Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi has a very have trouble in that solving that transportation problem because that there's the public transportation the system is not well constructed until now. Korea has that the experience that this kind of the poor transportation system about 30 years ago and 20 years ago. We solved that problems with that data technologies, sharing that people's movement and the data, the card system. Only that one credit card, people's moving anywhere. This is maybe adapting to solve that transportation problems to solve in lower condition of public transportation. So I think that this kind of the density problems may be the matching point of that these two similar cities with a high density, I think.
Okay, thank you very much. So, how do you think, Dr. Kien, you have like something showing only today, like more informal settlement issues, but Ho Chi Minh City has actually many issues there, right? So, like some flood issues is serious, and also housing and public transportation issues. Now, actually under construction, metro system, so it's coming soon, yeah, I believe. So, how you can define a smart city in terms of professional or developing country? What kind of technology is very urgent in these kind of situations? How we can make more some sustainable cities based on technology? So today you show like some one technology, but like you can think about based on some like others professional lectures. Do you have some inspiration and some like thought you can share? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Professor Sir. Honestly, I don't like to use the term smart city because I think that Ho Chi Minh City and other cities, they smart already. They are not stupid city. We are much smarter than the cities like 20 or 40 years before. I like the term smarter city, like how to make it better, how to make it be operated more efficient. And for the case of Ho Chi Minh City, I see that during the last few years, many initiatives has been launched. Something successful, something failed. But I think the most serious issues with the city is that we don't have an integrated system. Like in every department of the city, in every aspect, we have some initiative, but they are not connected together in the system. And somehow it's waste a lot of resources, waste a lot of data. Like for the same type of data, many companies or government agencies build together, and somehow they cannot be connected. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic last year, one of the most important data that the government needs is the citizens' data. Yeah, because we need to know how many people live in one area to distribute the resources, money, the support for people. And at that time, we know that the police agency collect a lot of data in the ministry's level, the central government level, but at the city's authorities, we cannot connect to the data pool, and somehow we had to collect the data right in the during the pandemic. I think it's really the waste of resources, because we spend a lot of money to collect data, but only few agencies can access to that data, and it cannot be integrated into a big system. So I think the technology is not the big issue today, because we have a lot of things available out there, and we can have a lot of opportunity to collaborate and to access to the technology. But the system is the problem. We need to have a good design. We have to have a good system to work together, to operate the city together, not separate this agency. And that is something that I think Ho Chi Minh City and other cities in Vietnam do not have right now.
Okay, yeah, very interesting point. So I think I want to have some comment about smart city. Sometimes, like when we rely on too much technology, I feel like sometimes that is not smart. Because, for example, like in Korea, for example, there is like in Songdo City, there is a lot of CCTV there. CCTV whole street there is there is no actual privacy there. So like sometimes try to showing how many CCTV is very safe, but actually, like if there is more people around the square and street, and actually we feel more actually safe, even actually no need technology at that time, But of course, there can be like really good device to prevent, like some crime in advance, but also usually like some technology is sometimes like make our life is very individual. For example, if car is too dependent car, society is like, for example, when I take a look some autonomous cars, maybe a lot of people really enjoy their actually car. There's no driver, right? There's a driver, so a lot of people enjoy just a car. So like we try to make a car-free cities, but usually like more people use the cars. So our infrastructure is not ready. But so there is some like we need some understand what is the smart city definition, and also we need some efficient use of data, and also data politics might be also very critical point. There is a big data holders usually like something like powerful position there. Anyway, okay, so I think we can wrap up, but we have like some opportunity, have question from the audience. Is there any question from the student or other professionals, or any question about today's lectures? Yes. Okay.
Hello everybody. My name is Nguyễn. I'm a senior year at ASCM, and I have a question for Mr. Raphael. So as we can see clearly from your presentation, is that gig economy is going to lead the emergency life concept. So how could we control the balance between the gig economy and the emergency life? And or how can we reduce the emergency life concept to acceptable rate? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. Well, I think there are different parts or different ways to respond to that, but I'm just trying to be more, or just go straight to the point. One way to do that, I think, and we think, because I co-wrote this with my colleague Long, is, for example, the sharing data. Because this is not a matter or just like to accumulate data. Because you know the idea of the emergency life is in a way it helps you to solve a problem. It's a problem in a specific time of your life. So for example, everybody has lived emergency lives in one part of their existence. Why is that? Because you are living a contingency. For example, what I mean a contingency, let's say that unfortunately a relative of you had an accident and you have to use all your savings to pay for that. So that is an emergency life because the way your normal life is formulated, it does not longer exist. So you have to act as a contingency. Consequently, for example, in the past, what will be a gig economy? And the gig economy, you will be probably going back to the rural side and to find a job as a farmer. But right now, you go to the city and you just ask someone to help you. Probably you borrow money or you borrow a motorcycle and you just start working in these companies. And the problem is that these companies are very clever in the sense that they sell you that this is going to be not just a gig kind of work, it's going to be your future. And what is your future here? It looks like, first of all, you are not an employee. You are your own boss. You just remember the narratives of Grab or companies like that. It gives you a sense of agency. It gives you the idea that you all have the power. But the problem is that you are not able to improve. You are always like a stationed or parked in one context. You have enough, but you cannot improve. And you become dependent because you say, well, I cannot stop doing this. Otherwise, I will not have anything. So addressing your question is how we can improve that is by training these people. Is by giving them the opportunity to decide, are you going to work all this or you can improve? Or you can be not only a delivery guy or someone doing or working as I don't know, like a taxi driver or someone doing this kind of multiple jobs there. Is that you are now a delivery guy, but you are going to get a training to become something, to improve or to continue your education. If you see the narratives of these people have anticipated that. What I'm telling you, you will find that they are doing, in principle, they are doing that. But there is a problem. The problem is that you don't have time. And you go back to the point. So the point here is like an endless loop. So how we break this? It's impossible to break this unless these companies help you to break this. And as I said, there needs the only possibility is to get an actual training that changes your status from a delivery guy to someone who has, for example, other kind of training. I don't know, but more kind of tangible, not only for a particular time. So that's the way I can respond. A very long response, but I hope it helps you. And thank you for your comment.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rafael.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I can feel your passions of Latin America. Wow,
yeah,
passion. Yes. Okay. Any other question from audience? There. Yeah.
My name is Hiển. I would also want to ask Mr. Rafael some questions. The first question is, do you think GIG economy is the main cause of the emergency life? And the second is, what are the chances for two people who to live in the emergency life?
Thank you. The first part of your question is what is GIS, you said?
Do you think GIG economy is the main cause of emergency life?
I see.
GIG economy?
Is the GIG economy?
The gig economy. The
Yeah.
gig economy.
It's the main cause of emergency life.
Okay. So you correlate, you are asking me if I think that the gig economy is the main cause of the emergency life, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your question. I don't think the gig economy is necessarily the cause of emergency life, but it could be the cause of an emergency life. But the problem is that in the past, for example, this idea of emergency life, of a gig economy, I'm coming from Latin America, and I would tell you that probably half of our lives we perform a job associated with gig economy. So that is the reality in Latin American countries or developing countries for that matter. But this is not necessarily connected with the idea that I presented here. It could be, but not necessarily. The only consideration that I see from the point of view of the current times is that right now you cannot escape that. Right now, a gig economy is like you get a gig economy and you will die as a gig economy worker, because it will be there will be very few possibilities for you to embrace or to find another job. And not only because you are not talented, or not only because you are just like probably you don't have education. Not is that actually. It is because you decide that this is much better than not having anything. But at the end, it is not improving your life. And that is why what I call, as I said, the emergency life. You are always there, but you cannot change. That is the problem. You are just confined to a specific time and a space. And when you interrupt the emergency life, you might wonder, I am afraid that it is going to be like a fatal kind of response, but the way you can interrupt it, there are two ways. One is that you are not able to continue physically because you have an accident. And if you see the statistics, these people suffer accidents, wow, terribly. And this happens everywhere. In Latin America or in Southeast Asia, it happens everywhere. So they have to interrupt this kind of living, of making a life. So in that case, what will be the other possibility of interrupting? When someone of that family becomes a gig worker. If you see, just to conclude, I know that I already took a lot of time, and I see the face of my colleague is already bored. No? So how you, if you see the publicity of these companies, they always look at the youngest. It's like you see someone who might be like older, people, someone like me is working, but later it will pass like at the time to say, son, it's now your time. You need to be the boss right now. It's like, but you are not going to change. And this is actually my colleague Long and I got this in our paper. We started with that vignette. It's like this story of how this graph portrays the power that you will get by becoming one of the workers of this form of economy. So this is the way I can respond. Thank you very much for your comment.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Tuan should invite Raphael for a single stage for him. I think she has a very strong heart to deliver many meaningful messages to the students, I guess. Okay, we have last chance for the student. We have a very limited time, so okay, after one question, we will wrap up this discussion. Any last question? Confident. Come on. No? This is only last Last call, come on. Elena, do you have a question? No. Poini from Thailand, do you have a question? Okay. Okay, if there's no question, we can wrap up. Thank you very much, and I'm very happy to sharing the knowledge and information. It was a very meaningful, actually, moment to understand how whole world city actually is evolving and changing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all panelists. Thank you. All people? Okay. Like professional. Okay. Yes.